Wow,
Oh
that
dear.
was interesting.
Oh dear.
Can you see me now?
Okay, I can. Yes.
That was interesting. Anyway, yes, your turn.
Okay. So these segments are recorded trance sessions from Francine, Sylvia's spirit guide. So for new people, Sylvia was a full trance medium, which means Sylvia contracted to let her and Francine's essences exchange places in Sylvia's body. And we think of our bodies being similar to a car. One driver gets out and another driver gets in. And this allowed Francine to share spiritual knowledge with us directly from the other side.
On occasion, another master teacher and healer, a guide named Rahim, would exchange with Sylvia and present us with spiritual information as well. Francine and Rahim shared directly from sources like the Akashic Records, Mother and Father God, our spirit guides, Christ, and many others.
And meanwhile, during trance, Sylvia would sit on a nice bench in a rose garden on the other side.
And here are our hosts, Reverend Catherine Taylor and Reverend Tom Bigley.
Hello, how's it going?
We're going again. That's interesting. I see we're on YouTube, so that's a helpful note. That was an interesting introduction. Also, welcome new viewers and ongoing continuous admirers. Well, okay, viewers. Let's see. We like to start out with explaining the agenda and an outline of what we're going to be presenting. First, we get into some announcements. That's followed by How Did You Use Novus Spiritus Philosophy, which is a favorite segment. And if you're familiar with it, now's a great time to start posting in the comments. Let's see, special prayers and a moment of silence. That's something for everyone to participate in. Then we get into the trance segments. We'll have a meditation, some closing notes, and and a little bit later there's the novena. It's a special prayer ceremony that everybody's welcome to participate in. That's followed by we talk about what we want to be appreciative of for the following week, and we conclude with a prayer by Sylvia. Also, if you're so inclined, you want to post something fun to see on the video, at the very end, we will post the comments on video. So next step is grab. And if this is, I'm going to light our candle. And if you're in a place that it's appropriate to do so, dudes, you're welcome to do the same. See if we can get this to light without drying up and... Okay, that one looks like it might go for a while. Fun. Let's see, some quick announcements. Again, welcome to all the subscribers and followers. That's great to see that there's an increase in our fellowship, as it were. Also, are you getting any benefit from this content? It would be great to have it paid forward and help others besides yourself getting this word out. You can promote this content on Facebook. You can share, like, and follow. And on YouTube, you should be able to subscribe, give some thumbs up, and don't click it twice because then you get turns off. And then you can click on the bell so you get notified when we actually jump on here. Also, to help promote, you can go to our website, use a credit card to donate. We also offer, I believe, Venmo and PayPal, and we now have access to Zelle for those of you that are familiar with your personal banking systems. If you have Zelle, you can send those funds to office@novus.org. If you're curious if you typed it in properly, by all means, you can send $2 or $5 and call the office or email the office and ask, hey, get a validation that your donation got sent. Then you can put a little bit more in if you're so inclined. Let's see. I like to talk about readings with Chris. So yes, a reading with Chris Dufresne can be that new growth for your spiritual future. When's the best time to plant a tree? 10 years ago. Some people say 20 years ago. When's the second best time to plant a tree?
Today.
Right. So plant your seeds today from a reading with Chris for your future spiritual growth. Also, man, I've used my voice too much today already. I can hear it. Don't miss out on Chris question specials with email notifications. You can go to his website and put your email in there. You should get notifications. Facebook users, 2 items. If you would, Facebook is going to be deleting older videos over a period of time. I've got to go back and look, but it's something like after 90 days or something of that nature. They delete these kind of videos. So start looking for how, you'll be, if you want to look at the archives, see the archives of what we currently have, YouTube's still hosting those. And also, Facebook users, be sure in chat to go into the comments and look for the link in the comments that says Talk Studio Streamlabs.com/Facebook. Click on that and accept the invitation or accept what they're asking for. It allows your name to be published in our comments so we can see who's talking with us. And I think that. Oh, also, I haven't heard yet, or in the comments, if you'd post in there, does that need to be done every week, or is that a one-time fits all for Facebook? That would be helpful for us to know. Now's our favorite segment we call "How did you use Novus Spiritus philosophy last week?" And yes, I did my homework. But I want to offer you, Kat. What do you want to choose to go first?
Sure. I will volunteer to go first. I had... okay, so you all, regular listeners, know that I had surgery in February, and it was taking my voice a while to recover, and my voice was just doing all sorts of acrobatics afterwards for a lot longer than one would expect. And there was like a little note in the post-operative report that there was a minor break in technique with the placing anyway, so whatever. So I was starting to get really frustrated, and I was like, all right, I am not doing this anymore. And so I used a couple of the tools that we have talked about with ailments.
Mm-hmm.
I used... put a silver star in there. It's like, if there's any negativity, let that silver star just spin about and resonate to that. But I also addressed my what do we call it? The gatekeeper. I addressed the gatekeeper. Good. Yeah. And I said, sir, I need you to activate and fix whatever is wrong with my voice, because this is ridiculous. And I can still, in certain registers, feel a little bit of a hitch. Mm-hmm. But, oh my gosh, it's easily 85, 90% better. I have so much more control over the tones that I'm doing. I'm hardly ever coughing. And it was a fast turnaround, too, when I dressed the gatekeeper specifically. It really, really had a very positive effect. So... shout out there.
Nice.
And nice. I am super happy that things are moving in the right direction there, because I could not sing at all. I sounded like cats in a trash can trying to sing. It was awful.
My gosh.
Just absolutely dreadful. So I was like, no, I'm not going to go the rest of, however long not being able to sing. This is not going to work for me. Absolutely not. No. So anyway,
funny.
We are well on the mend. Well on the mend, yes.
Great.
How about you, Tom?
So, nobody is forgiving, like at a karaoke bar?
I'm not ready for karaoke yet.
Okay. All right. Let's see where. Well, I had it up here somewhere.
And somebody just asked in the comments, who is the gatekeeper? I'll be happy to clarify a little bit later. But Tom, you go first.
Yeah, I want to go first.
Please.
I'm just kidding. Well, yeah, gatekeeper would be fun. And I was just thinking of Anyway, we'll see if I remember this the comment later. Oh, here's what the notes. The notes that I wrote about for me is, I'm recognizing a pattern for myself of I don't praise or acknowledge my own accomplishments. With tasks, it's something that needs to be done. That's how I feel about it. So there's no personal joy. I hear quite a bit where people talk about, oh, helping others, you'll feel better. I'm like, well, when? It's my, and that's just how I feel and see things, and I need to find what pleases me, and then and part of that is how I'm going to do that, or how I've been working with that is ask and go with the first thing that comes to mind.
Mm.
And because that's also the reminder of that's my spark of the divine. And everything after seems like it's second guessing that first idea or that first thing that came to mind. And so that's the basic pattern that I've seen in recognizing that I'm seeing some adjustment. And it's going back to the adage, all work and no play is what? Or no, I can't remember the actual adage. All work and no play, it's not fun. You've got to find some spark for your motion. You can't just be constant, head down or head nose to the grindstone kind of thing all the time, or your emotions are going to kick back at you. That's and because you're not having a balance of emotion and intellect, and we want to find what sparks us. That's love versus despair or hate or fear. We want to get towards love.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm working on adjusting that habit of, adjusting the habit, and then seeing or recognizing, oh, look what I've done, look what I've accomplished, and seeing, at least offering that to myself and learning how to do that for myself. I don't know when I quit. I don't know when I stopped. I really haven't gotten to that. It's just I had heard or seen somewhere about, and I'm probably seen it several times, but it's like one time caught my attention to say, you know what, we got to praise ourselves, pat ourselves on the back once in a while, and recognize, if because not everybody else is going to do it, that we're doing a good job. We've done the best that we know how.
Lovely words. This is good. The something that you reminded me of is something we heard on Trance a long time ago, where Francine was sharing some of Father God's insights about humanity, and one of the insights that I recall, the best of my recollection, him saying was that he never wanted people to not have joy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just that was such a freeing comment to hear, because and I think it ties in with what you're saying of just like having some space for the emotional side of us in life, and that, yes, that is that is a range, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between.
Yeah.
But it was just such a freeing comment to say, like, he never wanted people to not have joy. And I was like, oh man, that really gave me a lot more permission to just relax.
Yeah.
Just relax. Yeah. So cool. Very cool.
Which for me, it's I'm learning to stop trying to fit things into every time slot. If I have a break in time, the funny demonstration that people like to show for in motivational speeches. They have the container, the clear container, and they say, look how much room there is in here of time. This is how much time you have. and they put big rocks in it. Now, is it full? And people, of course, everybody says yes. Well, then they pour littler rocks in there and it goes in between all that. And now is it full? And yes, it's full. And then the demonstrator puts in sand in there. And of course, that fills in all the little cavities. And now is it full? And everybody goes yes. And the, what is it? The
Water.
last one is, now is it full? Yeah. Well, then they pour water in it. Of course, that fills it up. Now is it full? And everybody goes, yes. Well, what's the point? You got to figure out what those big rocks are first, because those you can't put them in afterwards. And I have had a habit of wanting to find more places to put sand in there. You know, when I think there's a little squeeze of time before coming here, before showing up to do this, I'm like, my alarm rings and says, "Hey, it's time to get prepared to go," and I let it ring and ring and ring and ring. And I'm like, oh, but I could do this one more thing. I could do this. And it's like, no, I got to stop sometime because I got to get here to set up. So I'm doing what I can to say, like you said, relax. The time said we're done and let's go to the next thing.
Lovely thoughts. So I want to answer the question that Emily had of who is the gatekeeper? What is the gatekeeper? The gatekeeper is an entity that we heard about towards, I want to say, was it last year that we were hearing about the gatekeeper, or was it earlier this year?
I think we've heard it more than once.
Okay. So
isn't that the thing that's in, yep. We want to, the male entity?
A male entity, yes. And
go ahead.
So it's this is a consciousness, a male consciousness that everyone has that is purely responsible for our personal health. And so anytime that we have this kind of nagging sensation to go to the doctor, we were told in trance that is oftentimes the gatekeeper trying to assert, like, hey, something is off, go to the doctor, get some additional assistance with something. That is the gatekeeper. And so all last year, I kept having this nagging sensation to go to the doctor. Oh, it was last spring that we were talking about the gatekeeper. Okay, so I kept having this nagging sensation, go to the doctor, do your preventative care, do your preventative care, do your preventative care. And I had gone the entire pandemic not giving a hoot about going to the doctor until like we heard about this. And I was like, you know what? I went to everything under the sun. And in the process of doing that, they found like some stuff that actually did need to get taken care of, and it was the right, like, just the sweetest spot, like, it could have turned into problems later.
Yeah. Because
it caught it so early is not an issue. So that's the gatekeeper. It is specifically a male entity. I have a concept of it being like a diva, like a molecular entity.
Yes.
And it is 100% a positive force. It's something, that God has made for us to help keep us healthy. And you just address it to say, gatekeeper, you want to name it, give it a male name. And the reason why they're male apparently is that what I recall them saying is like, you don't want a female entity like running this. Like, you just want like male entities, whatever that means. So you give it a male name and you address it and say, hey, I want you to take care of this specific issue. So what I did with my voice is I was so frustrated. I said, hi, Lucas, because Lucas is a name for me that means light, but also physician. And so that's the name that I went with. And I was like, Lucas, I need you to heal my voice. This is ridiculous. This is driving me absolutely bonkers. And it got better really fast. So, because nothing that the nurses and everybody else was saying to like fix it was making a lick of difference. That is the gatekeeper, very positive force that everybody has. Okay, some comments from our listeners. Garden says, prayers have been answered. Thank you, everyone. Grateful for the amazing support and for praying for me and asking for Archangel Orion to help. My son and husband understand one another, and we're able to compromise, and there's peace, and the best outcome happened. That is amazing. God bless. I'm so happy to hear that. Many wonderful folks are here. Reverend Danny is here. Great to see you. Erin shares, I think we finally had a breakthrough with my oldest daughter, and I'll let you know more next week. And she finally answered after expressed some frustration. Hey, let's go. I'm glad to hear that. I'm very glad to hear that. And continue to offer prayers. Yes. Alyssa, I think, asking for prayers for her kitty. One of her kitties was injured by another stray cat, and the eye was damaged. I'd be glad to say prayers for your kitty. Jorge says, I've been staying positive, even though I'm feeling a little down with the craziness that's happening in the wider world, and thanking God for everything. Yeah, just keep. If it gets a little bit too wild, just read the prophecy book, and I know for me that really helps. Just kind of remind myself, like, oh, there's a plan. Asna's on top of it, and I just pray for people to learn their lessons with the most minimal amount of disruption as possible.
Right.
And
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to go back and listen to what you read about something about the trying to operate things without government.
Oh, right, without a presidency.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was an interesting. I mean, there wasn't much detail, but just to get the idea in my head again, because it's fun to observe changes and how things evolve, as it were.
I will look this up when we are listening to our next segment, and I'd be happy to read what Sylvia wrote about the future American government. So
Cool.
I'll be happy to look that up. 'Cause yeah, it is both fascinating and reassuring, and I'm just asking for Asna to be ever present through this transition process, whatever it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Some more comments. Dana. Hi, Dana. She says, I had a hemiplegic migraine that I was told was a stroke, so I'm thanking God for that. Oh, we'll keep you in our prayers. I'm glad they caught whatever they needed to catch. Aaron says, so if we get a nagging feeling to do something, that's our gatekeeper. It can be your spirit guide, it can be our gatekeeper, but it's health related. It's like, there's something in there that doesn't feel right, and something in the body that is just bothering me. And emergency room doctors will talk about this too. They'll say, like, if I heard an emergency room doctor say one time, it's like, yeah, if somebody comes in and says that they're about to die, believe them. Believe them. Is like, we don't know what it is, but you believe them because they've seen this happen so many times. They're like, a person just knows somehow what's going on. Mm-hmm. And that a lot of time is the body speaking to the individual through the gatekeeper.
Really loud.
Yes, very loudly. Yes. Garden shares, love you, Tom and Catherine. You do love you too. You do an amazing job, and you've created a wonderful place for our church community. I'm so grateful. Thank you. You're very welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's very sweet of you to say. And last comment here that I'll read for right now is Jorge saying, I'm remembering to not be so hard on myself like Chris Dufresne said. You go. Absolutely. He has gotten after me too on that. It's like, you need to relax. You do not know how to relax. I was like, I'm insulted. I do too know how to relax. He's like, no, you don't. He was right. I was very wrong. I did not know how to relax.
We may know how to relax, but when when you're motivated to move forward with something, what's your emotion at the time? Are you like, oh, this ought to be fun, or I
Yeah,
gotta get this done?
yeah. Oh, I gotta do this. I gotta do this. I gotta do this. I gotta do it perfect. I gotta do
Right.
that. Like that was me back then when he made that comment. He's like, "You have no idea. You don't have an earthly idea how to relax." I was so taken aback by that. It was great. It was great feedback. I needed to hear it. And one last question here. Alyssa says, so gatekeepers can help heal our bodies if we ask them? Yes. Yes, they absolutely can help heal our bodies if we ask them. And you just give them a male name and tell them what to do, and they will work on it. Yeah, exactly.
Just don't avoid your doctor.
Don't avoid your doctor. Go to your doctor. Go to your doctor. Yes.
That should be in the Journey of the Soul Topic 3 if you want to read more about it.
I don't think it's in topic 3. I don't think
No?
it's any of them.
Because that would be a healing thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well.
I think it was after they were published.
Okay.
So it's an extra goodie for listening to us here. So.
Who else has
All right.
comments?
I think we're good on comments.
All right.
Maybe it's time for special prayers.
Oh, really? Well, I'm glad you remembered. Because I'm like, oh, okay. We got that. Oh, by the way, our what's it called? Conference call is not working tonight. So unfortunately, people might dial in and go, why aren't they there? Well, because we're not there. Oh. Yes. There we go. Okay, great. Let's do special prayers. So we want to encourage everybody to take a moment and think of something that needs some assistance, whether it's for you or for someone else. Take a moment and visualize what that outcome is, what you think would be best for the person. Of course, we also want to ask ask for the greater good for the situation, for those people. But we were going to ask Mother God, the archetypes, archangels, and even our spirit guides to go out and influence the situation so people get the help they need. So let's take a moment of silence. We're going to put our hands up and ask for, put out the prayers for those need assistance. Also, this includes not just who's putting comments in, or if you think about it next week, it's also the people that put prayers on our prayer chain on the website. So we're including all that are asking. So let's take a moment of silence. Amen.
Marvelous.
What do we? Oh, there we go. Yes, and I like to add, be the prayer. If you see a need, fill it. Oh, what happened there? Oh, I see. That's why it says that. Okay. Now it's time for trance segments.
Alrighty, so today we are listening to Francine continue from last week. So she's going to give a marvelous description of the tunnel that we see when we're ready to go over. It's going to be a marvelous description of fundamentalists of all religions leave no room for love. Quote, you cannot make someone smart who isn't. Some people like living with the comfort of a condemning God, unfortunately. Moses began to have a false god. Even the gods of Egypt were kinder than the God of the Old Testament. And lastly, God is the worst in Solomon and Kings, specifically in the Bible. So
All right.
Francine's take on that.
Here we go. Here's the helpful information.
When I began to speak to this group and some of the people that have been around for many years, I was telling them things that had not come to light. And now people all over the world from every culture talking about the light and the tunnel and all the beautiful colors and lights and the Hall of Wisdom. So it's becoming a wondrous thing for everyone of every denomination now. It's just that most of you were privy to the information before it ever became public. But it's all over now. And this tunnel effect, as I have told you, is because it crisscrosses the dimension. And it's up, and from your side is about 3 to 4 feet. And some of you choose, like I said, to go to other planets, other sides, and look down at the world and see how it looks. You travel a great deal. Yes.
As far as the fundamentalists, it seems that it's a vicious circle of fear and control and dogma, and there's no room for
Love.
Yes. And I don't know, I had a good conversation last night, and I'm not sure how to neutralize it. I tried to think about, well, if anybody, no matter what religion they are trying to aspire to show people God, that's positive, that's better than them turning black. But it's like, I'm almost feeling like there's so much fear of my parents that, my dad is almost going to put a guilt physical thing on me because I'm not doing it the way he wants me to. You know what I mean?
But the best, absolutely, but the best thing to do is not to try, because you see what you've done is you've tried to shake the outer perimeters of their life, and you can't do that. Some people, out of their ignorance, and I'm not being disrespectful to your parents, but out of their ignorance must have these guardrails on, and it usually always occurs with people who have had very few lives.
I understand that, and that's okay for them, and I accept that. And they won't accept,
But that's their ignorance. See, ignorance means ignoring your truth.
How do I neutralize
You
that?
can't.
Okay.
There's no way you can't. You cannot make someone smart who isn't. You cannot make someone experience what it is like to eat a marvelous fruit if they're afraid it's poison. You can't expand their mind. And some people are not ready to expand their mind to God's greatness and His all-forgivingness. Some people like to live with the horror and the fear of a condemning God. For some reason, which is beyond anyone that I know on my side, why that gives them comfort is beyond anything that we know.
It's sad, really.
The condemning God, and that seems to be a failing of human beings who are not advanced spiritually, is that they need to be afraid. And the true Gnostic, Christian Gnostic, is one that is not afraid. Because he knows, or she knows, that she stands before God with all of her beauty and her soul, and that God is nothing but love and knowledge. And so there can't be any of this aggravation or nitpicky criticalness or judgment. There cannot be. If there is, if it is once introduced, then the God that you know and love is lost. But your God, and it is the true God, and that's why the part that says, do not have false gods in front of me, and that's exactly what, as Larry said, Moses did. He began to have a false God that carried right straight through. Even the gods of Egypt were kinder than the gods of the Old Testament. At least you could petition them. At least you could bring them something that would make them happy and they would smile favorably on you. But the God of the Old Testament, at any whim, at any way the wind blew wrong, he could become irate and kill you.
To clarify that then, there is no Yahweh, there is no entity, there's not really God in the Old Testament. It's all man-made.
All man-made.
Fear. Okay, thank you.
And it depended on what prophet was writing it. What prophet was writing it. And I find that amazing because in Deuteronomy they say, please don't listen to your prophets. And then the books are written by nothing but prophets who made him into an ogre that nobody wanted to deal with. And where he shows up to be the most vicious of all is in Solomon and the book of Kings. And in David, he killed people right and left. He sent plagues and killed the firstborn of every household. And no matter which whim he wanted to go, he did. Can you imagine Moses, what kind of egotistical power he thought he had to come in and say that his God was going to kill the firstborn of every household? What kind of a God would listen to a madman? What would it behoove a mother to lose her first son? And no one ever stopped. Or what kind of a mad, crazy, insane God would turn a woman to a pillar of salt? See, didn't the same God that made Lot make his wife? Why? Because she turned around out of great curiosity to see what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah, that she would be made into a pillar of salt. You see what that was supposed to do? That was supposed to keep women in line. In other words, if the husband said, don't turn around, the wife didn't. And Sodom and Gomorrah, how ridiculous. As if God had nothing to do but look down on this little tiny place at the edge of a mountain and say, I don't like what they're doing, and let's... It was a volcanic eruption that happened. The same as your Holocaust will come, and people will be warned. And what about Lot? He had intercourse with his daughters, both of them. Read about it. And it said that that was all right, though, because he was inebriated on alcohol. So it was okay for him to have intercourse with his daughters. This is a kind of God that you've been taught is a just God. He was saved to have intercourse with his daughters. The book of the Bible is, as Father Jacobs told Sylvia once, is a very evil and a very frightening book, depending on how it's used, because it can be used to create any kind of madness I wish. And yet, looking at it right, it becomes a wondrous story of man's travails through his lifetime. If you read the Bible as your journey, your own specific journey, whomever you may be, whether your name is Jean or Felina or whoever it may be, think of your journey as starting out in the Garden of Paradise and going right straight through all your lives, maybe worshiping false gods, being disenchanted, hurt, frightened, deceived, and finally crucified and then resurrected. You will see that the Bible is a wondrous book. But to accept it as that, don't be so eager to jump upon that this is the holy works of who? Yes, you had your hand up, Larry.
Yes. So would you say it's safe to say that some of the stories in the Old Testament are fabrications or outright false?
Parables. If I were to say to you that your religion now is like a thread of yarn that you're traveling to find As Sylvia always says, the whole sweater. But you travel down all these highways and byways, traveling until you finally get to the dress or the sweater or the shirt. Is that a real thing? No, that's a metaphorical story that I could weave for you to show you what your road is. That's what the Bible was. And Christ was a great storyteller. He would tell story upon story, as all the avatars and messiahs did, trying to speak to an ignorant group of people. That's what he meant by the mustard seed. He showed them. This is a mustard seed. He said, even if you have faith, this little tiny seed. He didn't mean the mustard seed had any power. He was showing them. They're all fairy stories or parables that to explain. Any other questions about this? If you disagree, if you have problems, please don't be afraid to speak up. Yes.
In the Nag Hammadi, there's a part of it that has disintegrated and fallen apart called the fragments. Why isn't it that someone like yourself could channel through Sylvia and reconstruct some of these?
Oh, we will. We're going to fill them all in. We'll fill every single work in through this research group. Believe me when I tell you, before Sylvia leaves this earthly plane, and before I have no voice to speak through, we will fill in all the missing links of this. I know exactly what you're saying. It is fragmented. It fell into irrepair and just, it's amazing that the few things were kept.
Some of it was burning firewood.
Oh, sure it was. They didn't have any sense, and they were doing it to keep each other warm.
Fun, interesting, early, well, for me at the time, it's like early Bible class, reading about what, how things are written. And now you have some tools when people start quoting the Bible, and you can come back and say, yeah, but what about Lot? What was that about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fascinating. So she's saying, gosh, it just, Bible just sounds so chaotically written. It's like you've got a different writer for everything.
Yeah.
The Old Testament is trying to one up all of the other gods that are in the area at the time. Then additionally, a lot of them, like she's saying, a lot of the stories are meant to be parables. And then additionally, they're trying to explain natural phenomenon like earthquakes in a way to, blame it on, this is the reason why our God is the mightiest.
Yeah.
Because he, something happened and flooded out everybody by the sea and turned all of this into salt. And it's like, it's so chaotic. I have a hard time I always, before finding Gnosticism, I had a very difficult time finding any shred of anything inspirational or soothing or calming or wise in any of the Old Testament. But it is I do find a lot of comfort in hearing Francine explain some of this and just like offer some validity of like, no, if it sounds crazy, it's because it kind of is. Oh man.
Well, even we've heard how scholars and psychologists will read some of the contents and go, well, that's like schizophrenic kind of thinking. So
absolutely. Absolutely. The Book of Revelations, I sat down after working for years with people who have schizophrenia in the justice system. Wonderful, wonderful individuals. Just just my whole heart and soul just loves these patients. And they have schizophrenia. Some of them florid, very unwell levels of schizophrenia.
Mm-hmm.
The Book of Revelations is, I am convinced in 1000% that Sylvia said this herself. She said she was written by someone with schizophrenia. I went back after having worked with people with schizophrenia and I read through Revelations. I was like, this sounds like any one of my clients. Just absolutely florid, unmedicated schizophrenia. The person who wrote that was extremely unwell. And it doesn't surprise me that so many people with schizophrenia pick up on Revelations and they're just like, this is it. They get it.
I get it, yeah.
I get it. I get this. This is speaking my language. Yes, it's the language of schizophrenia. It makes sense to schizophrenics because it was written by a schizophrenic individual. God bless their soul. This person was very unwell. So, yeah. Oh, my goodness gracious.
Any comments about what we heard or questions?
Yes. Ramona says, prayers for everyone here in need. Amen to that, Miss Ramona. I really appreciate that. Somebody who I think is more familiar with maybe other spiritualists on YouTube came in and asking a question that I think is more oriented to other spiritualists. So their question is, have you heard about the 51% needed to graduate Earth School? We need to have our heart chakra open and love more than not. So to offer what Novus, Spiritus, and Sylvia's teachings has to say about that is that the Earth has its own chart, and there are
chart of activities and experiences.
And
yes.
Experiences, absolutely. But each individual, we need to do what we can to do the right thing as individuals, absolutely, and we should do the right thing as a group, absolutely. But every responsibility is on the individual, and we are all going to graduate Earth. There isn't like a specific quota that's necessarily needed to achieve X, Y, and Z. It's really about the individual is what our philosophy and alignment kind of teaches there. But we should all collectively do strive to reach and strive to aspire and strive to do the right things. But we view graduating Earth as just like passing away. That's how our how Sylvia's spirit guides how he's used the term like graduating Earth. It just means, well, you pass away now and you're on the other side. Bless you. Good. So thank you very much for your comment. Appreciate it. Aaron says Revelations was written by someone with schizophrenia. Interesting. Yeah, that's what Sylvia said, and I do agree with her on that as someone who's worked with schizophrenia patients. Yes. Ramona says my best friend believes in Revelations, but that's okay by me. To each their own. Yes, to each their own, and God bless. So. And the Garden says, I'm going to listen to the replay. I write notes and get deeper understanding. Love it. All right. Thank you, everyone, for your comments. Do you have anything else, Tom, or shall we move to the next segment?
Next. We can go to the next.
Hey, sounds like a plan. So we're going to hear about the other universes. And our universe looks like the silhouette of a great man. Our universe is the only universe that we'll ever know. Devas exist on the other side. Christ did not turn water into wine. He just knew that people would bring the wine. And then we're going to hear about the Nag Hammadi, Sanskrit, and Bhagavad Gita writings and the spirituality they contain.
Cool. All right. Here's some education.
In terms of God, the creative God, one of the ring of brothers, where is the female God? Is she a creation of Om, or a separate, distinct entity?
No, she's separate and distinct. In other words, the male God did not make the female God.
Okay, so the ring of brothers has the ring of sisters, if you will. Concurrent with that?
Or mates, you might say. A duality.
Okay, so the combination of Om and Asna created all of us.
And all
Yes.
that
All that you know. And it was a duality of merging and giving birth to this creation. The best of what she, well, of course, that's a wrong way to put it because she is the best and he is the best, but for the finite mind, let's just say the best of what they thought and wished for and wanted was made flesh.
So they're co-equal, coexistent.
Co-equal, coexistent in different planes of existence.
Yeah, her dominion is the world as well.
Earth, world, of course she can visit the other side, but her domain is earth life.
What then does she do when all of that schematic is over?
It never is over. There's always life that exists on some planet that is evolving towards perfection and always will be. See, everything goes in a circle. When your earthly lives are done, others will maybe just be starting. You don't have to worry about it. You will have reached your level of the perfection you wish to reach. Unless you decide to go to another planetary system and start on their schematic. Yes.
And you have said before that when someone asked you where does Mother and Father God come from? And you answered by saying their parents. Now, would it be possible for you to clarify that to our finite minds just to some degree so that we can understand?
From what I can understand and been told, and through Akashic records, and I have only briefly been what you might say imprinted with this, and I don't know how to explain imprint, but I do know that they did have parental, and their parents had parents, and I'm told they're still in existence. In the old plates, someone was very smart when they made the astrological chart in the figure of a man. And when they said that the Pisces were the feet of the great man, and the kidneys were the kidneys of the great man, and Aries was the head of the great man, it meant that this universe is in the shape of a male, a man. And so if you think of a silhouette, and residing within this silhouette are different planetary systems in which give rise. Now, that doesn't mean that this silhouette buckles over and holds to, but it is made in that image. Outside of that is also other images of these male and females, and it keeps repeating itself to infinity.
It's a little hard for my finite mind to grasp. I must be honest with you. I think I'll just wait till I get over there.
And it really doesn't make any difference to you because all you really care about when you're here or there is the fact that your God is the only one that you know. But it's wondrous to know the multiplicity of the universe in all its grandeur, that all these magnificent gods with their glorious genetics, let us say, comes to us as part of our genetics. So we truly are a royal family of beings that is higher than any phylum that we know of. Yes.
Back to the Bible for just 1 second. It seems that, this being the only planet that has the Bible, that especially the Old Testament, it actually comes from negative or the dark.
Crazy people, yes.
It's actually not like a whole.
Oh, but this is the only place it would ever get hold. This is the only place in its darkness that kind of a book would ever get. And you see, people will not rise against it because they're terrified to say that the Bible is really a very bad book, and it is. It has everything evil in it you could ever imagine. It condones murder and incest. It has everything in it. And what about Adam and Eve and the two brothers and Cain killing Abel? And then who were they supposed to procreate with? Their own mother? I mean, the sickness that abides. And Moses could not cross to the promised land because he committed murder. So every possible horror and every sin, and David killed Bathsheba's husband by sending him to the front lines and then marrying her, which was an adulterous act. And Solomon had so many wives he couldn't count them all. So any kind of sin, from sodomy to any kind of an act that they call sin, which is ridiculous because it was all in the human experience, was accepted only if it was in God's time. So in other words, you could commit any kind of infidelity, murder, anything, as long as it was you were part of who God favored at that particular time.
Right, or you accepted Jesus, then it didn't matter if you sinned.
Oh, it didn't matter. You could do anything you wished. It's not any different than the Catholics who go out and do everything on Friday night and then Saturday go to confession.
So it's actually putting out fear and sin.
Oh, of course it is. Of course it is. And it also plays favorites. Do you realize that some of the heads of the church, including Joseph Smith and all the other, and think of all the popes that created horrific crimes, and even Pope Pius, who kept a female nun by him for all of his time, so much so that all the cardinals began to refer to her as Popessa. And this is not a criticism, this is just, I will speak out of one corner of my mouth and condemn you out of the other. Someone had their hand up back in the back.
Francine, addressing the divas again, can actually addressing the diva of an object change the molecular structure of that object?
Yes, and that's one of the reasons why the early alchemists were convinced they could change lead into gold.
And are divas present on the other side?
Oh, yes.
Now,
Everything that contains energy.
Some of the parts in the New Testament said where Christ addressed it and said, I can turn this stone into bread. Was he alluding to the diva of the...
Yes, and even to the...
changing water into wine, exactly addressing the diva structure?
Yes, but he didn't change it, they just came and brought it.
They didn't brought the good stuff out of the cellar.
Yes, of course they did.
Is the Vedic, is that a better Bible? And if that's so, will we ever decipher the Vedic literature?
The really truest form of the truest word is the Hammadi, the Nag Hammadi, and also the Sanskrit, which is yet to be deciphered. But the truest beautiful mystical works are from the Sanskrit, and even the Bhagavad Gita has so much beauty because Arjunan can talk to Krishna and Krishna can speak to Arjunan. And that is the only real religious work in which man is actually addressing his God. And God is speaking back to him.
How should we read the literature that's so mystical? I mean, how can we read it with what type of mind?
I think you should read it with the mind, always forever the mind, that God is loving and perfect, and whatever else is put in there is put in by man. And once you read it with that objective, then you're going to smile to yourself at all the other things and realize that man was trying to elevate himself to whatever knowledge. And yet God's knowledge is so simple. It's not complex. It's the beauty of. And when you address God, you don't have to go through lengthy prayers and penance and indulgences and the beating of your chest. You just have to simply say, I'm here, God. I know that you're present with me. I love you as I know you love me, and that's all. And then God's love pours through you and gives you all the help that you need.
So stand and say, let's move forward. And, what is it that I need to do?
Yeah,
Fun.
absolutely.
Do you have anything you want to add? And who's been writing comments? I keep seeing the number go up over here.
Yeah. Some comments and questions. Thomas, hi Thomas, he writes, was Asna and Om the original goddess and god? And from what we were listening to, it sounds like the answer is no, and that there were creators above them. To the best that I can recall, the name of the male entity above Father Om that created all of the brothers, his name is Daura, and Asna is actually Daura's counterpart. So that's that's what that hierarchy looks like, what that pantheon looks like. And the description of Daura was just sounded just mystical and very beautiful, just like boundless love, just magnificent love, loving entity. So, good question. It breaks my mind to contemplate it for too long because it just sounds like an infinite spiral above, and
Yes. Yeah.
breaks my mind a little bit. But I just keep the takeaway that I've arrived to, and I think I've mentioned this before in the past, but I'll say it again. The takeaway that I have for this particular discussion is that not only are you an intentional creation of Father God and Mother God, which is by and of itself the most magnificent thing, but that also means that an infinite infinite perfection above them even wanted you, thought of you, created and thought of the amazing gifts that you have. And if that to me is not humbling necessarily as much as it is elevating, that somebody, not just our creators, but above that, they were like, no, we've got Thomas in mind. no, we've got Sylvia in mind. Like, no, we've got all of you in mind. That's just incredible to me, and very, very reassuring that you deserve to be here, to be happy, to explore yourself, and to embrace the gifts that are within you, and that is incredibly heartening to me. So, thank you for your question. Somebody asks what we should do with the Bible, and Sylvia suggested which versions, Tom?
Yes.
Of the Bible? Yes. Which version?
Oh, well, her preferred version that she would teach Bible class from was the Douay version, or the New Jerusalem is like an updated version of that.
Okay, fantastic. And also there is the New Testament translation from George Lamsa, which is quite lovely. And somebody asks, is there a family god tree? Apparently there is, and I don't even, oh my God, it's going to break my mind. It's going to break my mind. It just sounds like a yes, and you just have to find your takeaway for that.
And we have to disconnect the idea of procreation.
Yeah.
You know, how we think of human procreation. It's not that. It's merging and creation. You know, thoughts are things. You think of something God thought of. Hey, I want to make all of these souls, I'm going to split my emotion and create all these, individual souls. That's what each of you and I's core center is. That's our spark of the divine. When that happened, Mother God also, the two worked together to create those individual souls, and they then became those individual sparks have emotion and intellect, so they are what's the right word? Not unique. Well, yes, unique, but individual.
Absolutely. Benny asks, I'm so glad you asked another question, Benny. He asks, have some of us reincarnated on Earth thousands of times? I do not know the answer to that. What I have heard, please.
Well, finish what you've heard.
Okay. So what I have heard is that it is more on the rare side to approach 100.
There you go.
Lives. It's more on the rare side.
It's typically less than 100.
Typically less than 100, yes. And and we've encouraged us to view incarnations in terms of how curious is the soul. If the soul is very curious, they might have more lives. It doesn't mean that they're necessarily more or less advanced than someone who's had very few, because Jesus only had one life on earth, is what we've been told, and yet he is just this incredible creation, right? So saying that someone is an old soul versus not based on how many lives, it just doesn't quite line up with our philosophy. So they encourage us to view the amount of lives that someone has as being a characteristic of curiosity. How curious is the soul from experience?
The analogy of that is, do you have a curiosity the size of a thimble or the size of a 55-gallon drum?
Yeah, exactly.
And what you're filling that in with, the curiosity, is experiences and lessons. What was the other one? What was the other thought you were talking about? Yeah, can you go backwards a bit and say something, and it might spark what I was trying to...
Have some of us reincarnated on Earth thousands of times. We were talking about...
old souls.
Oh, old souls. Yes.
We are all old souls.
Yes.
Because, and when you specify souls, we are all old souls because we were all created at the same time.
Yes. And some people started incarnating just a little bit sooner. Everyone was like, imagine everyone's born at the same time, but some people delayed going to school.
There you go.
Some people were like, I don't want to go to college right now. You cannot bully me into going to college, Mom. I'm not doing it. But then, like, sometime later, someone was like, all right, you know what? I'm ready to go to school. So that's the difference.
There you go. That's fun.
And then somebody asked, is Earth the only place where there are incarnations? No, there's there's just countless. We're told that there's countless planets, but Earth is the most difficult. So you have to get permission to incarnate on Earth because it's so difficult.
And earn it.
Yeah, my goodness. So just the fact that you are here, you are breathing, you woke up this morning, you should feel proud of yourself, because this is a really, really tough place to slog it through. So good for you. Good for you. Anyone who's listening right now, good for you. I'm cheering for you.
Yep.
All right. Alyssa says, yes, it's the Ivy League. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, the best of the best school.
It really is. Gosh, you know what? I'm so glad you said that, Alyssa, because I don't know about other people, but I've always been like a little bit raw about like these really elite places on Earth where you're just like, gosh, only the smartest people are allowed to go there. But you know what? Only the toughest people with the toughest metal are allowed to come to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
It is the Ivy League. So I'm glad you said that. That makes me feel better about myself. Anyway.
All right.
Good questions.
We want to go to meditation?
I'd love to go to meditation. Yes.
All right. So for meditation, we do encourage that you sit with your feet flat on the floor and your palms upward on your lap, unless you know of some better alternative position like I used to use. Where are we, Howard? Great. So here comes meditation. We encourage you to palms upward on your lap and take a, when I start this, you'll hear me talk about breathing. For anybody else that needs to pay attention to what you're doing, don't pay attention to us, but by all means come back and listen to these wonderful meditations in the on-demand. But for everyone else like us, here we go.
Find a nice place to sit upright, with your feet flat on the floor, and your hands upward on your lap. Palms up. Now, take 3 deep breaths to start relaxing the mind and body. And now close your eyes when you're ready.
Healing. Take a few moments now to drench yourself in the energy of forgiveness. Forgive yourself and others. Move into total peace and love. Let this spirit move through your body and into your hands. As they open, they get hot and glow. Ask now for the Holy Spirit to come. Asna's purity. Jesus' power. Have your hands heat up so that this spirit of healing comes through you. Everyone you touch and everyone who brushes against your aura will be healed by your hands. Ask for this gift today. Feel your hands get even warmer and begin to pulsate. You've been given the gift of healing. You can even put your hands upon yourself or others for healing. Don't be afraid. Ask for the gifts of prophecy and enlightenment. Ask for the channel to be pure. We're all prophets, all Essenes, all Gnostics. We're all seekers of truth. God has chosen us, so we are very blessed. And we can't get off this well-traveled path. We have been chosen, so there is no going back. The tragedy is that we're beating a new path, one that goes through ignorance and weeds and fear. But we're strong. For as long as you're around, you must carry that banner, because it's deep-seated in your soul, and you want to make the world a better place. We want to make souls well, to turn darkness into light wherever we go. Feel that light come on, burning through you. Feel your soul begin to magnify. Feel that your heart is healed and your soul grows strong.
And now, on the count of 3, bring yourself all the way up. 1, 2, 3. Fully alert.
Did it start or stop? Oh, there it goes. All right.
Lovely.
That was a fun meditation.
Mm-hmm.
No, I was challenged because I kept like thoughts are like dragging me this way and dragging me that way. There's some emotional things I've been dealing with, and it's like sometimes it's challenging to no listen to the meditation. Shh, let that stuff go. Oh, and by the way, you remember the meditation we had about the golden gate kind of thing, and you're supposed to think of it as like a fenced in space. That's all I remembered about it, and I thought, oh, we're supposed to think of the fence in area with the the golden metal, and I'm like, I finally listened to it consciously, and I only got part way through because it goes beyond, it evolves into something else. That fenced in area evolves into something else. And I'm like, whoa, I totally missed all of that. So anyway, you'll have to go back and find that. I encourage you to find that meditation. And I mean, unless you already realize what's there, but it's a special way to drop emotions into, drop that mind nattering stuff into, and get rid of it basically. So fun.
Beautiful.
Where'd it go? Oh, there you are. If you have any questions about what we shared, feel free to post in chat or email us questions to newspirit@novus.org. And of course, we appreciate listeners, both live and on demand. Show your appreciation for New Spirit Radio by sharing, liking, and subscribing, even clicking on the bell. Check out our websites at novus.org, sylviabrowne.com, and chrisrightnow.com. Yes, I know we're on Facebook because I know there's many people following us. Yeah, there's YouTube and Discord. You'll find us there as well. Also, let's see, church services, first Sunday of the month. There is a live Sunday on the first Sunday of the month. Yes, there's a live Sunday service in Las Vegas, but you can also watch that service that is live streamed, so you can get invited to it. I also, where are we in them? Oh, yes, I did just recently post a Sunday service on Facebook and YouTube with classics by Larry and Sylvia. And the last Sunday of the month, you can participate in a special Zoom service hosted by our Reverend Ellen Schloss. Now's the time for the novena that I spoke about. It's our special prayer ceremony, and I'll do a brief description what we're going to do if you're not familiar with it. What I'd like you to do, just visualize that we're all holding hands together in a really large room, and it doesn't matter when you're listening to this. What we're going to do is say a phrase 3 times together, and I will lead us off and count the times, and after we say the phrase 3 times, I'll tell you what you want to ask for. And we are going to do that 3 times. So say the phrase 3 times, and we're going to do that 3 times. How does this apply? Well, the phrase is, I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. And that goes back to Francine and Rahim telling us, and even Sylvia telling us, that we are sparks of the divine, a piece of God. And it goes along the lines with our tenet, number 10, which says, let no one convince you that you are less than a God. Do not let fear imprison your spiritual growth. So I'm going to lead us off. Again, visualize that we're all holding hands in this huge room together. And here we go. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. Now ask for things for yourself. Okay, here we go. The second one. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. Now ask for things for others. Okay, and the last one. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. Now, picture our light going out like a beacon of light for others seeking this spiritual knowledge. Think of something you appreciate from last week so you can carry that thought through next week to help you be mentally appreciative, positive, and uplifted. And with that in mind, now show your appreciation to Francine and Raheem for researching all of this wonderful knowledge, Sylvia for coming to this insane asylum of the universe to start this movement, and for showing us some peace of mind and grace while we're here, Asna for helping us and protecting us, and Father God for providing the most prestigious school for us to experience, learn, and satisfy our unique spark of curiosity. Appreciate help from Bob Ingold in some matters, and looking forward to talking with Sammy Sweet Spirit in the near future. That Sammy and Javon have written our intro outro music, our theme music. Writing, setup, and hosting is Reverend Catherine Taylor. Editing, technical direction, and hosting is Reverend Tom Bigley. And now a prayer by Sylvia. Really? Unfortunately, these can't be set up in advance. But anyway, where'd we go? All right. Prayer by Sylvia.
Prayer for purification and renewal. Dearest God, surround me with the white light of the Holy Spirit. Let me feel your quiet peace, Mother and Father, invading my heart, mind and soul, and the Christ consciousness, pulled into my very being. May I feel the light emanating from me into the heart of every other person. My life, like a highway in which I am traveling, can seem so cluttered with all kinds of flotsam and jetsam in all my past lives and even with what I'm going through in this life. But with my strength, my symbol, a light, a sword, or my totem, let me sweep that pathway clean, feeling that everything in my life is clear-cut and straightforward. Nothing can impede my growth. I ask for my needs to be met, but more important and above all, for my spiritual growth and for my soul to magnify the Lord. I ask for it to stretch my wings inside and embrace my truth, my vision, and my belief. May I look back down the highway and may it now be clean. Ahead of me may be clutter, but strengthen me, dear Lord, against illness, against adversity, against any programming that may come from outside of myself, so that I may walk with courage. May I feel myself being healed from all wounds that are slung at me, like the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune that hit. I am impervious to all because I walk with my hand in God's, truly unfettered, clear in mind and body, pure and loving in motive and devout in soul. I ask this in the name of the Mother, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
And Kat's going to tell us.
I'm going to read from the prophecy book for just a couple paragraphs, if that's okay. So, around the year 2020, the political structure in the United States will remain as it is now. But between now and this future, we're in for a difficult, disruptive era in our nation's history. The long-term effect will be a positive one, and that's a guarantee. We'll just find ourselves needing frequent reminders of that fact along the way, because it's going to look pretty dismal and confusing from time to time. And in about the 2020s, we'll see the end of the one-man presidency and the costly, seemingly perpetual cycle of presidential campaigns and elections. Instead, our executive branch will be essentially phased out and absorbed into the legislature. And it's through the legislature that we'll exercise our democratic process. It will be considerably streamlined into a body of elected representatives, an equal number from each state of the Union, vaguely resembling the ancient Roman Senate. Rather than Democrats, Republicans, and Independents, the Senate will be divided into two groups, liberals and conservatives, who will sit literally, not figuratively, on opposite sides of a long aisle. 50 from each. Each state will elect one liberal, one conservative, and it'll end all of this nonsense that we see ourselves gridlocked with.
Interesting. Interesting.
God bless.